Hello and welcome to another episode of the First Wire podcast. I'm Trey Server. Happy Friday evening to everyone. And tonight we're going to talk about the last day at Keeneland. I can't believe it's already here. Um, but like tomorrow is it. So cool thing about that is they have mandatory payouts in the pick four, pick five, pick six, super high five, anything you want to play that you typically do play, it's got to pay out. So maybe 5 out of 6 pay something tomorrow. We're going to start with race 5 tonight just because that's when the pick 6 starts. I'm joined this evening by CC Broaddus. CC's back from his hiatus with all of his popular Auxiliary Gate podcast and all of his autograph signings. So he is here to help us out to show us his nose and hope that
Jerry
is that
Bailey says hi.
Jerry Bailey. Okay. His lucky bobblehead is with us tonight.
Unfortunately, Edgar Prado's head fell off. I had him up here at the collection, but his head fell off completely off.
Uh-oh.
So yeah, we're looking for a replacement for Edgar.
Do they still make those?
No, but they should. That was a great. I loved it. I love collecting bobbleheads. I've got Jerry Bailey, John Court, Chris McCarron, Pat Day. I've got a Pat Day nesting doll, Bob
Okay.
Baffert, Extra Heat, Nick Zito, and who's this? Steve Cawthon. So, and then I got
Oh
more
wow.
over here. Yeah, it's pretty cool. Yeah. So,
Well, I like your little man cave there. So,
yeah.
all right. Well, like I said, we're going to talk tonight about Saturday's card, the last day of the meet. Race number 5 is a cool first race to go with because it starts the pick 6, and it also starts the $3 Keeneland Turf pick 3. As CC and I were talking off air, this is a very tough card. So good luck to anybody that may be happen to hit it. First horse I want to mention in this opening leg is number 2, Miss Hebrides for Kenny McPeak and Brian Hernandez. They tried to get on the turf 2 back, brained off. It was in a slop last out. The horse shows speed. I don't necessarily like the horse in this race, but I do want to mention because I think it's going to set an honest pace, and that is good for the horses that I like. And number 3, Public Assembly for Chad Brown is the first one. Jose Ortiz is going to ride this horse. She just won at Kentucky Downs, and she just sat off the speed, which I'm hoping she'll just sit right off the 2 horse the entire way and take over in the stretch and get the W. Number 4 also interested me. Joe Sharp trains this horse. Tyler Gaffleon's going to ride. Jose rode her last, put her on the lead. Irad put her on the lead in the race before that, and I don't necessarily think she wants to be on the lead. So I'm hoping Tyler has a little more patience and sits just second or third off that inside speed. And she's a 4-year-old facing 3-year-olds, so she might have a little bit of advantage. So in this race, the 3 and the 4 would be the horse that I would definitely key in on. There is one more, number 5, Shiloh's Mistrich for Mike McCarthy. They brought this horse over from the West Coast to Kentucky Downs for one of those big $2 million races and ran 4th. And I'm hoping maybe she got acclimated to this area, has some work since then. I would probably use her as well. So I would just start off the pick 6 and the turf pick 3. I would use the 3, 4, and the 5. How about you?
Well, first of all, I think there's going to be a scratch in this race. I think number 7 Heartspin ran on Sunday in the Dowager Stakes, and I think they drew entries for this race last Saturday before the Dowager. So there's a good chance that Heartspin comes out. I would think. I don't know that for sure, but if she does run, I would be interested in using her. because I think she's a nice filly. But for me, I'm going to go in a probably completely different direction than you. And I don't like this race at all. But number 2, Miss Hebrides is interesting. Her sire's Mendelssohn, who's a turf influence, and she's run on the turf one time, and that was at Saratoga. And it was her first start. I think you could throw that out. She's ran twice since then on dirt, but McPeak wants to try her on the turf here, and I can understand why. You could give her a second chance here, so I would use her. Number 5, Shiloh's Mistress is one I would be interested in for Michael McCarthy. I think she's got some back class, so she's a little bit of an in and outer. I don't really care for that. She's not very consistent. But the other one I would use, and unfortunately she's going to be heavily wagered on, is number 13, Random Harvest. Now she's going to need one scratch at least to draw into the body of the race, but she won her first start at Kentucky Downs, and that's no small feat to win going a route of ground. She went 1 mile in her debut and won fairly easily. So she's obviously got some quality. The outside post is a problem though, but those are the ones I'm interested in, but I'm not really interested in betting this race, to be honest.
Okay, no worries. Well, as I said last night, I like to just give a pick 5, pick 6, just to have some selections there, and then you guys can do with it what you wish. Race number 6 is one of our first stakes races of the day. The Bowman Mill. It's a 6 furlong stake for 2-year-olds. This race baffled me to the fact that I'm probably going to hit the all button. I just want to note that White Sands will scratch because White Sands ran today. So that would leave Long Neck Paula, the only ward horse in this race, who scratched today as well.
That's a filly against the boys there, Long Neck
Yeah.
Paula.
Okay. All right. Yeah, you're right. And I like this horse today, hoping that she would run, and obviously she scratched for this race. So I wouldn't throw this horse out at 8-1 if she remains 8-1. I think she's got a big chance. The 4 horse is going to be speed, just one at Keeneland, gate to wire. Louis Size is going to maintain them out. And number 5, Politically Correct, won their first 2 races for Chris Davis, and then they ran in some stakes races. Did not do well when stretching out in the Iroquois. Now goes back to 6 furlongs. So Jose Ortiz jumps back aboard at 9-2. If you get anywhere near that, I would say number 5, Politically Correct, would be my top pick.
That's one I'm interested in too. I really don't have a strong opinion there. Chris Davis is going so well this year that I can't deny his chances here. That's the one I like the most. And number 3, Middy's Gritty, showed some grit on debut, closing from last to win that debut maiden special at Churchill Downs back in September. So yeah, for me it's 5-3, but I don't have a strong opinion here.
Okay. Moving on to race number 7, which is a mile on the turf, an allowance race for fillies and mares conditioned, or which have never won 3 races. Like the other races, this one is just as tough. Number 7, Strike When Ready, interests me a little bit as a long shot for Nacho Correas and Jose Ortiz. This horse has a big turn of foot. And in this particular race, I see some speed horses in there. Coming out of Indiana, they may not give it as much respect, or they may not give her as much respect as she deserves. But I wouldn't be surprised to see Jose with a one late rallying kick down the middle of the track. The horse that's going to be favored is number 11, Kehoe Beach, for Wesley Ward and Frankie Dettori. The horse just won by 8.5 lengths at Kentucky Downs. Like I said, I think there's some speed in here that could mess with that 11 horse. So at 9-5, I'm going to try to beat. And like I said, number 7, and then the other one I might try to use is number 4, Bella Wrights, for Shug McGahee and Luis Saez, coming out of the Virginia Oaks at Colonial. Might have a say in this race as well. Do you have an opinion on this one by chance?
I am interested in a little bit in number 6, Lady Emily Catherine, who was good enough to win a other than at Churchill back in the no, excuse me, at Keeneland, a other than at Keeneland back in the spring. And then the wheels fell off a little bit, but she does have speed here, and they are going a mile. And if you recall last Friday in the last race, that was an allowance on the turf going 1 mile. Speed dominated. So I wonder if Tyler Gaffleon hustles Lady Emily Catherine to the lead, trying to get position on Kehoe Beach, and maybe she forces that one to take back. Either way, it could be a good scenario if I use her, and then maybe like you said, I like Bell of Rights is relatively lightly raced. Shug McGee, he's not having a great meet so far, but this filly looks like she's okay in this spot, and yeah, I do like your filly Strike When Ready for Nacho Crez, who's having a really good meet, and I think yeah, this filly has a shot in here as well, and you get a price on her, so that's perfect.
Okay. All right. Well, moving on to race number 8, which is a mile and an eighth on the main track. This is the 67th running of the Hagyard Fayette for 3-year-olds and up. Number 2, I'll start there, is Tumbarumba for Brian Lynch and Luis Saez. 1-for-1 at Keeneland, in the money and 2 starts at the distance. This horse is just very consistent. So the horse has got some tactical speed. I think he's going to be right there. The horse on the almost the far outside is the Hit Show for Brad Cox and Florent Giroux. 3-for-7 at the distance and 1-for-1 at Keeneland. Won his last 2 races at Mountaineer and then at Churchill in the slop. This horse will take a lot of money, and deservedly so. So I probably would just stick to the 2 and the 8 here. Rattle and Roll for Kenny McPeak could be another one. Coming off the long layoff, getting second time. But that horse hasn't won in quite some time. So might run second or third, but for me, 2 or the 8.
Brad Cox is absolutely winning everything at this meet. I think he's got 13 victories so far. I know he added 1 today. On my racing form here, said he had 12 wins going into Friday. So he's just rolling right now. It's hard to go against Hit Show. He's really fast on numbers. There are some horses in here that I think you could build some exotic wagers around. Number 4, War Campaign for Phil Sims. And want to remind everybody to listen to the Auxiliary Gate podcast. We had his son, Matthew Sims, who won the Perryville Stakes last Saturday with Brunacini, who was a really good story. So we're going to root for War Campaign. And this horse loves Keeneland, and he's working well, according to Matt. So, yeah, we're going to use the 4, and Rattle and Roll probably needed the last start. I wouldn't take too low of a price on him. He's also entered in one of the Breeders' Cup races. I can't remember if it's the Classic or the mile, but so there's a chance he could come out if they decide to ship to Del Mar. Grand Aspen is a horse that interests me, a horse that I needed badly at Gulfstream when he was beaten up by O'Connor in a stakes early in the year, but he's been off since the Pegasus World Cup and now returns for a new trainer, Jonathan Thomas. But horse is reportedly working well. And the other one I'm interested in is number 1, Trademark on the rail. You get new jockey Axel Concepcion to ride. Trademark is in horrible form, but on his best, he's better than anything in here. So, Hit Show is going to be tough to deny. Maybe try to work something out with Trademark, War Campaign, and Grand Aspen around him if you want to play exactas or trifectas. And maybe if Rattle and Roll's over, bet maybe try to fade him in exotics.
Okay. Well, if we get through that race, we get to number 9, which is a mile on the turf, and that is the 20th running of the Bryan Station for 3-year-olds. My ticket is going to be set around number 1, Neat. Rob Atras ships him in with Junior Alvarado, 3-for-4 at the distance and 1-for-1 on the Keeneland turf. Like I said, loves this mile distance. Should be up near the pace. And that Kentucky Downs race on September the 8th, it's a very live race. All 3 horses are back in this race. And to be honest, I think all three still have or have a very nice shot. That's number 1, number 3, Hershey, and number 6, Brilliant Birdie. Excuse me, for Sherry DeVoe. I'm going to use those 3, and I'm also going to use number 11, Trickery, for Graham Motion and Manny Franco. That horse is 1 for 3 at the distance. Didn't hit the board in its only try at Keeneland, which is back in its maiden start in October of last year. But it's been good here lately. Ran into some monsters at Santa Anita. But coming back to probably its class level. So number 11 is going to be very tough, but I'm going to try to, like I said, beat with number 1, Neat.
Yeah, this is a tough spot. Trickery is going to be, I would think, the overwhelming favorite, but he draws the 11 hole, and they're only going 1 mile, so it's a short run to that first turn. So if there's no scratches to the inside of him, he may be a play against him here. I don't know, but if there are no scratches, I would consider number 6, Brilliant Birdie, as a potential single, a horse that's in really good form for Sherry DeVoe. Brian Hernandez Jr. rides. Maybe a long shot I would consider would be number 4, My Boy Prince, who ran in the Woodbine Mile last time, and he wasn't beaten that badly. I think he was only beaten 4 lengths, and that's a grade 1 versus older. And this race is much easier than that Woodbine Mile. And so I would maybe consider him underneath, but yeah, Trickery is tricky from that outside post, that 11 hole. So, I would tread lightly, and obviously he's the horse to beat. But I if he's wide on both turns, and that opens the door for somebody else.
Now I got to ask you a question, because I'm looking here. You said number 6, number 5 above him is Demolisher, who's 5 for 5 in his life. But is an Indiana bred and only been running Indiana stakes, but has speed. Any chance that horse potentially, I know you said speed may do well at a mile, that horse gets out in front and can keep going?
He's fast on number power. That would the Indiana bred status, that would not deter me in the slightest. I would, if you like, and take a shot at Contreras. Sippy Contreras won Thursday with Woodcourt at 30-1. So yeah, if you like Demolisher, he certainly fits here. His sire Dominus was really a good stakes winner. I think Todd Pletcher won a stakes with him at Saratoga several years ago actually. And yeah, so the horse should not have any problem on the grass. In fact, he's already won a state bred stakes. So yeah, if you like a speed horse here, there's not been any rain. I think we had one night of light rain during the whole month of October. So the turf course should favor front runners for certain. So yeah, I would. Glad you brought that one up, because yeah, he's got a shot here.
Okay, all right. Yeah, I just happened to see that, and I was like, well, you know what, 5 for 5, 15-1, might get every bit of that. So like I said, if these races are all very tough, and if you happen to get lucky and you get to the last race, number 10, which is a maiden claiming for 6 furlong 2-year-olds, I don't really know where to go in this race either. I watched some of the replays. Number 2, Tomcat Tuesday for Norm Cassie, came out of the same race as Mitty's Gritty. So it was a live race. I did watch the workouts on video, and I didn't really like the way this horse works. He's got a high kind of leg kick. It's not very efficient, so I'm not quite sure if this horse could be able to be fast enough to get 6 furlongs. Number 5 is by Vacoma, 3rd-time starter for Peter Urton. Vacoma is going to stand next year for $1 million. That horse seems to win everything it sends out. Won again today with a horse from the far outside. And if Louise can get this horse out of the gate and have some speed, just with pedigree alone, I can see this horse going gate to wire. And then there was one more that I wanted to mention, and that was, well, there's 2. I'm sorry. Number 8, Free Country, for Dallas Stewart and Windstar Farm. Second time starters getting Tyler, coming out of that nitty gritty race again. And then number 9, the Chalk, was working well and shows a little bit of outside speed. So with Jose Ortiz, might be able to stalk the inside speed. And I know Brett Calhoun is a good trainer and been very cold here. Maybe he can get one on the last day at the last race.
Yeah, I would give extra credit to any second time starter in here and any horse dropping out of straight maiden special weights at Churchill. These 150 maiden claimers, you would think a horse that you could pay $150,000 for would be worth the money, but these horses are, if the trainers like them, they're not going to run them at this level, I wouldn't think. So they're kind of in between. They don't want to lose the horse, but then they don't think that they're not in love with them. We'll just put it that way. So number 2, Tomcat Tuesday would be one for Norm Cassie that I would consider. Number 5, Thunderhawk. You've mentioned all of these. The son of Vacoma, who's winning everything. He's like Brad Cox on the stud side. And then the Chalk is interesting. Where was the Gaff? Or yeah, Gaffleon's number 8, Free Country. That's a second time starter for Dallas Stewart. I think I would lean toward maybe Thunderhawk and Free Country as the ones I would like the most. Desert Air is a little bit interesting for Michael Puich, a trainer. He's a good trainer. I think he came from the Northwest. He's not really gotten a foothold here yet, but I know he can train. I know he's had stakes winners in the past. This is a horse that he shows good speed, and he's given way in both of his starts. You could probably throw the last race out at mile 16th versus straight maidens. But yeah, as a matter of fact, that was the race that Kinetic Control ran in. That was the horse that everybody was in love with, and he ran second there. So that was a pretty tough field. So I would think Desert Air's got a shot back on the drop-in class and the turn back to 6 furlongs. But yeah, for me, Thunderhawk, Free Country, a little bit of Desert Air.
Okay. All right. Well, and then on the far outside is, just out of curiosity, is Phil Bauer's horse for Gabriel Saez. That horse showed speed as well. So you could use a bunch of different horses in this race. So if you wanted to play a pick 6 ticket, it's probably about $1,000 based on all the horses that we got. CC's trying to sell his cat for some betting money here.
This is the feline version of Vacoma right here. Say hi. Say hi. Say hi.
What is his name?
His name is Vacoma now. I've changed it.
Oh, okay.
Vacoma, because he tries to breed everything on the block.
Sounds like his owner.
Right. Pretty much.
Well, that concludes our card, and that would conclude our meet. CC, I just want to say thank you personally for helping me with this podcast. You've given me a lot of insight in how to run it, and you were the brains behind the operating and the IT. So again, thank you very much for all your help.
All right. Well, yeah, everybody that listens to this, stay tuned. We're going to have a whole lot more. We'll be doing a lot of Churchill, a lot of Turfway. We're going to have a Breeders' Cup special hopefully next week. Dan and I are going to do something and something next week. I don't know, but we're going to hopefully do a whole lot more. Just stay tuned to YouTube and Twitter and whatever, and just keep an eye on us. Hopefully we'll and also Sunday is Stars of Tomorrow. We did a pod with Shane Swinson of the 2-year-old edge man that works with Jonathan Stetton, and he did a really good job breaking down the Sunday card, all 2-year-olds at Churchill.
Okay. I got a long drive ahead of me tomorrow, and I've got that already on my phone to listen to, so I'm looking forward to that. So, like I said, that brings us to a conclusion. Thank you all for joining me. Thank you all for listening. This has been a real thrill of mine, and I'm glad it came about. And hopefully CC will allow me to join him on some of his cast. And if not, I know how to do this now, so I can do some Breeders' Cup stuff or something like that on my own if I get booted from the island. So, CC, thank you for joining me this evening. Have a good weekend, and we'll be in touch.
Hasta la vista, pal.
All righty. Take care, guys.